guys. I'm Chad.
I'm Gavin.
Welcome to we're at episode 9 now of the podcast.
That's crazy.
9 weeks in a row, and we're doing this. Pardon the dogs in the background; they're just being dogs.
We're committed to the grind.
Yeah. So on today's episode, we all have animals. Everybody always asks, well, "What do you feed your animals?"
Yep.
Let's just get into it, because I mean, I know we talked a little bit about it last week about the dogs. Dog, I tell you.
We did talk about dogs a little bit last week. He was up on the table, or one of them was. One of the dogs was.
Yeah. That's distractions, I tell you.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all feed our animals. We all have different ideas of what we feed our animals. And everybody has a different view as to what to feed. I mean, I have a different outlook on certain things that you do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's all about, reasons why.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're going to have the same, when we do a topic about lighting and heating and whatnot, we're going to have the same debate about why you don't like certain things versus other things.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun episode. We'll probably get a lot of hate on that episode.
Well, and the fact that, well, yesterday or day before, I was just scrolling through all the different places to buy food, and I'm like, Gavin, what do I get for my turtles? Because you're a dirty, rotten scoundrel and getting me to get turtles.
You got to. They're fun.
Before we get too far into anything, so we don't go squirrel, looks like you got a new backdrop.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just a little bit of a backdrop now?
Just a little bit of an upgrade.
So what, I mean, obviously Mr. Grow Tent has to have a grow tent.
Yep, so these are all grow tents. These ones right here, I'll throw up the brand name. It's called Reptile Tents. That's the brand name, but they're just grow tents designed specifically for reptiles. And they're awesome. And I have the mangrove monitors in this one right here that you can see Dennis basking right now. And they have not been able to escape so far. And he's been trying for the past 2 days. He's been working his ass off.
What else you got up there? Because it looks like you have a few. I mean,
yeah,
looks like a 6-footer.
So yeah, this tent behind me is a 6-foot tent, and then there's another 6-foot down there that's empty. And then this is the monkey tail tent. They're up there somewhere. And then right here is the crested chameleon. This is the A-Tor tent. It's a different brand. I am actually going to be getting a replacement for that one. So it'll be the same tent as this, and it'll be uniform.
What do you have in the middle there?
Yeah, these are the electric blue day geckos. These are if you watch Mitchell's episode, these are his geckos, his babies. A few of them I'm holding on to them, helping him sell them, and probably going to raise up a group and help him grow some out.
You want to send some my way? I got a perfect cage I can set up for
Dude, you got to get it set up for them. They're awesome. They're so cool.
I mean, I gotta get something to put right behind me here. I mean, the guards here. I mean, I'm eventually going to have a couple more gecko cages here.
That'd be sweet.
Those today just to kind of see what I can put in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to be shorter ones down the bottom, just so I have more spaces height for the ones on top. But
yeah, I'm loving the tents. These ones are super, super nice. And they got the built-in backgrounds. They got a bunch of cool stuff for the reptiles, unlike all the rest. So cool. Yeah, new background.
Yeah, you'll have to put a link up so we can show the guys what's in and stuff like that, because they do look nice. I mean,
yeah, right now he's got 3 sizes available. He's got a 4x2x2, a 4x3x2, so 3 long, 2 deep, and 4 tall, and then a 6x2x2. But he's got 9x3x3s come in, and then working on some taller arboreal ones as well.
Love to have like a 4x4x or a 6x4x3.
Yeah, I want one basically like my big A-Tor tent, a 4x4 by I think it's like 7. Like that would be perfect. Like there's something tall. I want something tall. A 6x6x6 would be insane.
And even I guess I would have to do a 6x4x6. So 6 foot wide by 4 foot deep by 6 foot tall.
Oh, dude, that'd be a sweet.
Somebody decided to leave a red iguana here, and it's like, well, I guess I'll take that and try to see how nasty of an animal I can get. So why not
Good
throw it
luck.
in a grow tent and try. Right now he's super skittish, and I mean he's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Just super skittish, and like as soon as you open the cage, and it's like right at my eye level, so he just launches out at me. So it's like, here's your fresh greens. I'm like, So, but I think if he had somebody with him more often, you could see. So,
Well, speaking of greens, are the tortoises, and I guess now the iguana, are those the only things that you feed vegetables to?
tortoises, the turtles now, the lacerdas get greens, and the iguana. Yeah. So
What kind of greens and are you feeding them, and are you doing vegetables and fruit as well, or just greens? How are you going about that?
Honestly, it depends on the time of the year. So, like the tortoises, like the big saltado we have, he just roams around in my side yard,
Okay.
and he's got like 100 by 20 by 100 foot long by 20 foot wide.
Oh,
Thing
damn.
he just gets to roam around in, and he just mows the grass. And honestly, for him, that's probably one of the best diets because that's what they're used to eating is just grass.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll throw like a head of romaine lettuce in there every once in a while. And he'll sit up. He's got a couple little holes that he's dug, so when it rains in the summertime, he just lounges out in that. But other than that, he does great on greens. But when he's inside, he gets a lot of like collards, mustard greens, things of that nature.
So do you have
like
to bring them inside for the winter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Because it gets, I mean, it'll stay below 20 degrees at night for prolonged periods. Yeah. So he goes inside, and we have to walk-in enclosure inside and just put him in. We have to move some monitors around and stuff, but he goes in there and just hangs out. Hopefully this summer, before next winter, we'll have a tortoise house. Too much Alabama going on right now, but we'll probably do like a block tortoise house.
Awesome.
To where you can go live in that for the winter time and have some people in there and stuff. Do some I know you hate it, but those what is it, DP projectors? Put a couple of those in there.
No, I don't hate those. I just haven't used them.
Yeah, they're awesome, and I mean they do everything for what I do. But as far as greens, I actually go and hate me for this or whatever, but at Walmart they sell a Southern greens around here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got pre-chopped collards, mustard greens, and I forget what the other one is.
Yeah, we get that same thing. Publix essentially sells the same thing, and we get that.
Yeah. Well, I hate shopping at Walmart, but Publix doesn't have that, so I just go right into Walmart, grab a couple bags, and good to go on that side of things. Zucchini squash, yellow squash for the iguana. Little lacerdas will eat that too. The radiateds like it. We have a box turtle now, and the box turtle eats fresh blueberries.
Oh, that's cool.
So we'll feed them fresh blueberries, earthworms, things like that. And like the earthworms, just go to a bait shop, buy earthworms. I mean, you're not going to get a different quality. You're not going to gut load your earthworms. It's just impossible. So we just bait shop earthworms on that note. But like my little leopard tortoise, I go out and I'll get clover out in the yard. We have these, they're called broadleaf plantains and narrowleaf plantains.
Yep.
It's just a weed. They're gross. And so we just trim that or get some of those leaves, pop them off, and that's mostly in the summertime we'll get that. And feed it to them. So lower your feed bill. Find out what are safe plants to feed your animals with high nutrition. Make sure that you don't spray anything on your yard, which we don't spray anything out here. The most that they'll get is maybe some duck water or chicken poop, but that's not going to hurt anybody. But just knowing what's okay for your animals to eat, do your research on things. Yep. One of the things that I got that. Let's picture this. It's an app on my phone.
I have that app.
And I just take pictures of different things and do that. I mean, I have a couple aloe plants here at the house, and sparingly give them a little bit of aloe. Trying to get a cactus plant to grow so I can.
That'd be nice.
Like
yeah, we want to get to the point. Maybe when we get a house, we'll do it. But ideally, when we get to our final property, we want to get to the point where we are growing all the greens we need for every animal that eats greens and vegetables and fruits. I'd rather grow everything I can than have to go to the stores. But at the same time, we go through a lot of greens, so we would need a lot of stuff to supply that.
And I mean, where you are, it's going to be a lot easier to grow stuff year round than for me. Like I definitely have some growing seasons and stuff, but it can work. And
especially if I do that. I was going to say, especially if I do the turtle aquaponics system.
I mean, I'm looking into it. I have to build it out probably this weekend. I'm going to build the filter system, and I found a couple inexpensive pumps that I've used before that work great, and they're like 500 gallons a minute. So put those through some PVC and let them flow.
That'll be perfect.
And like I said, fill it up with pea gravel. Just make sure everything holds, and then let it drain back into the pond. And then I could have drastically more water in it. And then I've since put snappers in with my cooters, which they seem to be doing okay for right now. But the snappers are also significantly smaller than the cooters. So.
Yeah, so long as they're smaller, probably about the time they get about the same size, if not bigger, that could get a little dicey.
Yeah. Well, and we have some of those universal rock ponds, so I'm working on doing a nice little pond setup out in the yard. But I have to make sure that they're duck proof so the ducks don't go in there and get their feet bitten off by.
How are you going to go about doing that?
Put a fence around it. Little mesh fence around it.
You don't have to cover it or anything?
No, the ducks, they don't fly. They're too large bodied to fly.
Oh.
Okay. Once I get that, I found one. We have one back there that's like 9 foot long by probably 1.5 foot deep. So it's not really deep enough for them, but it'll make it easier for just water flow and whatnot. And if I get a pond liner, I can put a pond or take a deeper pond, but I won't have to extra pay for that.
Yeah, honestly, that's plenty deep for most turtles. Just given that length, the 9 foot length really adds to it. Yeah. I probably wouldn't do that with a snapping turtle. Like I'd say it's definitely too shallow for a snapping turtle, but I think for your cooters and the pink bellies and some other species like that, it'd be plenty of depth and size.
Well, and I plan on doing a tiered pond system, so I have an upper pond that's small, so I could actually put hatchlings in there, and hopefully they'd stay. And then do another pond where I could have another smaller species, and then
that'd be cool.
The 9-footer to have some sliders in and stuff like that.
That'd be sweet.
And I took some of your advice and have been looking at all the reptile groups locally. I almost got this close to getting a red-eared slider, but the lady never messaged me back.
I've been doing it past few days as well.
Yeah. Well,
but back to diet. Yeah. I guess we can go into.
Well, aside from, greens-wise, what are you feeding your dragons?
So we're feeding them a bunch of different greens. Honestly, we feed everything that eats greens, the same greens. So everything kind of gets, we do collard greens, we do arugula, we do dandelion greens. Those are the 3 most common, I'd say we do. But we'll do bok choy every once in a while. We'll do kale greens every once in a while. We try and rotate through all the different types of greens that are available and just mix it up.
Well, now I heard you said kale, and I've been warned multiple times about kale and it being a problem as far as with calcium, binding with calcium and things of that nature, feeding it prolonged amounts or prolonged time frame, eating lots of it, stuff like that. Have you had any adverse reactions?
Yeah, I don't recommend kale at all. To be honest with you, like I know, like we feed kale greens very, very rarely. It's usually like if we can't find anything else. But we feed such a varied diet that the amount of times we feed kale greens, it really doesn't affect shit.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really do anything because we're feeding so much. And on top of the greens, they're also getting a bunch of different vegetables. So a lot of the times we're doing squash, zucchini. They do like, what did we just feed them? We just fed them some type of squash. Can't remember what the name of it was. But yeah, they go through everything. A lot of them like we do mango as well. That's another one. We do bananas. The iguanas and the monkey tails go crazy for bananas.
Yeah.
So we go through just pretty much any green that you can think of that's in vegetable or fruit that's okay for reptile. We probably feed.
Yeah, and like I have a couple rose bushes outside, and apparently tortoises love roses.
Really?
Apparently roses are super high in nutrition.
Oh.
So I'm like, maybe if I get one of these roses, I'm just gonna snip it off and see what happens.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they'd like it because of the color, but I wouldn't expect it to be like high in nutrition and good for them. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, apparently they're good for people to eat too.
Really?
Or, yeah.
Oh.
Another great one that I've read up on, and I just haven't gotten a plant yet, is like a mulberry. Like the mulberry, not so much the berries, but we can enjoy berries.
The leaves?
The leaves for a mulberry tree, they can eat that.
Oh.
I have a couple hibiscus plants out front.
Yeah, I want to get some more hibiscus plants. We want to try and grow some edible plants in the grow tents. Like grow some sort of plant in with the rhino iguana and the pectinata and see how that goes.
Well, I mean, I tried that, and that's the problem with having tortoises. I tried that in my tortoise enclosures, and it lasts for about, it sprouts, and then it sprouts, and then they eat it, and then it sprouts, and then they eat it, and then by the time it tries like a fourth time, there's no point. They just
that's what I'm scared is going to happen, especially with the rhino iguanas. Like I feel like he's just going to eat every single thing that's green.
Yeah. Well, I know like Cannon around his some of his tortoise enclosures, he's got a whole bunch of hibiscus plants, and he had to put a bigger barrier between the hibiscus plants because they were able to reach their head through and like tear up the hibiscus plant.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
that's really cool.
I mean, it's kind of neat how many plants you actually can get, and it's definitely something that I would say, hey, leave it for a season. Like if you're getting something from Lowe's, Home Depot, because there are plenty of edible plants for animals there. Leave it for a season. Don't feed off the first year.
Yeah.
Once it loses some leaves and grows new leaves, then I would say, okay, it's now safe to. Because you don't know. I mean, honestly, you're not going to know what they're putting on it. Or
well, what's crazy to
that's the scary part about greens.
Yeah, it's definitely. I agree with that. Well, what's crazy to me too is like some plants that are supposed to be poisonous that I know reptiles can eat and be completely fine, like pothos. It's poisonous to humans and mammals and like dogs and stuff like that, but I know tortoises can eat it, turtles can eat it, monkey-tail skinks can eat it. I've seen rhino iguanas eat it. I bet you my bearded dragons would eat it. I bet you the pectinata would eat it. And
plenty of pothos in here.
I've never seen any issues, and I know people that feed pothos to their animals. So yeah, like I don't understand that. Like I wonder if reptiles are immune to that poison or something like that, or if it's just it just doesn't affect them. Because like I know, like apparently it can kill dogs.
Yeah, well, they said the same thing about poinsettias. I'm like, I've never seen a dog eat a poinsettia plant.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them eat grass, lots and lots of grass. Now, so most of your fruits, you said bananas, berries.
Yeah, bananas and blueberries are probably the ones that we get the most. But we'll do strawberries every once in a while. But yeah, mainly bananas and blueberries to be honest.
Have you ever tried the cactus pears?
We've done pear, but not a cactus pear.
You gotta try cactus pear.
I'll have to look
It's
into
on a whole other level. But make sure you wear some kind of special gloves because they still have the thorns on them.
Oh shit!
And they will get stuck in your finger. As far as that, and that's the other hard thing too. Is some of this stuff, more exotic fruits and stuff that are actually really, really good. It's really hard to find.
Yeah.
Cactus pads, probably one of the best places you can go. Is find like a Mexican grocery store, and they stock cactus pads. They'll even have banana leaves, and I've heard banana leaves are really good for some reptiles.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
But that's one of those. Go to some oddball places, the Asian markets and things like that. Because there's definitely stuff that you or I wouldn't eat there, but your reptiles would love it.
Oh yeah, I know. I get before we get into that, I wanted to say shit. I wanted to say something. I forgot what I was going to say, but we can get into the Asian market and then get food there because I know I've gotten food from the Asian market for my monitors before.
What do you usually get from there?
I've gotten squid and stuff from there.
Yeah. I know I used to get silver sides, and this was not for reptiles, but for my fish tank. I get silver sides from there. When I had my big Oaxaca puffer,
yeah,
he would get you get the mussels on the half shell there that weren't smoked or anything like that. They were just raw. I was able to get frozen snails.
Yeah, I've gotten snails and clams before from there.
Yeah, and it's all great for puffer fish and their beaks and whatnot. People have Dumerals monitors. Or Cayman lizards.
Yeah, that's what we got. I got the snails for the Cayman lizards I used to work with.
Yeah, they'll devour them and just you got to be careful because some of the Asian markets will look at you funny and then they find out what you're actually doing with them and then they won't sell them to you.
Huh.
But I'd also be weary of some of the snails that are there. Because their shells might be a little thick or something like that. Because there were some that I got that my Oaxaca just wouldn't mess with.
Huh.
And the shell was a little thicker than what it should have been.
I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say for cactus pads, there's a few neighborhoods and stuff around Gainesville that just have big old cactuses growing, and you can just take a little piece off and it propagates itself. You just put it in dirt. So it's take a couple pads and throw it in dirt, and then it just regrows.
Well, there's a Mexican restaurant that I pass by every day on the way home from work, and they just have this giant cactus.
Chop it down.
And I'm like, I wonder if they would notice if I parked in front and just took a few pads and threw it in some soil.
I bet you if you ask, they'd let you.
I know, but then I'd have I know my solution to that. One of my friends here, his wife goes there frequently, and she speaks fluent Spanish.
There you go.
You ask for me, and we'll see if we can get some cactus pad.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. But there's even some pet stores. I'm wearing, of course, now today I'm actually wearing a pet store anniversary shirt. This store is called Simply Pets, and it's their anniversary. It just says Sweet 16, it was their 16-year anniversary. Huh. And this is one of the toys they had roaming around their store, which actually eventually either got out or got stolen out of the store.
Damn.
Someone walked out with it. Yeah. It was a big redfoot, and someone's like, I'm taking this now.
That's crazy.
But they had a cooler section where they had chopped up greens and stuff, and they had cactus pads and quail eggs and things like that, it's a nice change of scenery to have things like that you just buy from your local pet store.
So, yeah, at the shop I worked at, we sold, obviously we sold the basic crickets and rodents, but we sold chicks and quail eggs and We'd even sell extra large quail, and sometimes if we had extra, we'd sell like some rabbits. But we rarely sold the rabbits because we were using them to feed the retics.
Yeah, we when I worked at the pet store, we had mice and rats, and we had our feeder fish, like your live bears, your goldfish, and then we had brine shrimp. And then we had a Publix that was right next door, and Publix would give us their out-of-date greens.
Yep.
And we'd feed that stuff off. And half of it you have to throw away because it's like, oh, it's got corn in it, it's got this in it, and you're like going through it, and you're sorting through it all. But at least we had stuff. But I can't tell you how many people would bring in rabbits. I don't want this rabbit anymore. And we had a group of brothers that had, one had an African rock python, the other one had a big Burmese python, the other one had a giant retic. And when we had a big rabbit come in, we're like, we're not going to be able to resell this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it. You can have it. I'm not going to do anything with it. It's alive. I'm selling it to you as a live pet rabbit. I don't know anything about it.
I've had it.
Yeah, so that happens.
We also.
Go ahead.
We did have a good selection of insects. We would sell hornworms, silkworms, black soldierfly larvae, waxworms, supers, obviously, and we even had isopods we'd sell as feeders.
Oh wow! Yeah, we just had. We would only sell feeders wise or feeder insects wise. Crickets, mealworms, waxworms. That was it.
No superworms?
Well, superworms, yeah. I just kind of loop those into mealworms. I know they're not the same thing, but
they're essentially the same fucking thing.
Yeah, they look about the same.
Yeah.
So, worst jobs in the world was because superworms came in a big box, and mealworms and stuff, they would come already pre-divided.
Mm-hmm.
Having to sit there with the case of superworms and divide them out 25 to a cup. Okay. 25 to a cup, baby. And honestly, when it comes to things like that, like we fed the crickets there potatoes. We chop potatoes up and throw them in there. So definitely, if you're getting insects from a pet store, you got those.
Yeah, we fucking fed ours the gelatin cubes. We gave ours the gelatin cubes. That was it. Sometimes we throw in greens and sometimes we throw in potatoes, but that was it.
Also, the worst decision I ever had was I'm going to try to breed crickets.
Oh, screw that.
It smelled terrible and was difficult.
Yeah, I could never breed. Maybe I'd breed my own. I'd breed my own roaches, but that's about it. Shout out to Lee. And man, he's working on doing all that breeding with the superworms and the roaches, and he wants to do a lot more breeding. He wants to work on breeding silkworms and hornworms, and he wants to go crazy in it. And he's doing a good job with the roaches. I've gotten a lot from them, and they're doing amazing.
Yeah, I still need to get some from them. I got to start a new colony, and just because there's a lot of stuff that's eating insects now.
Mm-hmm.
The gargoyles would love them.
I'm not even trying to just gas him up because he's the homie, but his are really nice quality. They are not they were juicy. They were fat and juicy, and they bred so good. They bred really fast and well, and they're still going crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. But as far as insects, the only insects. Sad thing is the only thing we feed insects wise is crickets. Right now, but we get the banded crickets, and they're all right. I'm not a huge fan of crickets.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass. We basically wholesale or bulk order crickets, so we get about a few thousand every couple of weeks, and then we also get a few thousand superworms every couple of weeks, and that's about it mainly. Besides the roaches, obviously we do have the roaches, but
yeah.
I want to get back into breeding grasshoppers. I used to have a little group going from Kai, and they were doing great, and then I moved, and it fucked everything up. So I want to get more because they're amazing, dude. They're so fucking good.
I've heard that, I've seen that, and I'm like, Kai, let me get a breeding group, and it's like they're so expensive.
It's
like,
so worth it though. Like it is super expensive, but if you can successfully get them going, they're like rabbits, dude. They go crazy. They breed so fast once you get them going. They're just popping everywhere. It's so easy to fucking like. Basically, you get a good sized breeding group, you do everything properly, and like in a few months, like if you get adults, in a few months you're gonna be like quadrupled the size.
Yeah, and like I know Jeff down at GIS, he has come up with he calls it the Hopper Haven, and it's got special like mesh in it to where you can reach in there and grab them. So
yeah, I've seen a few different people make those. It's a good idea.
Great idea. It's just one more thing I have to make, and it's like I want to do it. And
well, the people sell them, but it's definitely worth it, dude. I had them in a front opening container, and they are a pain in the ass to grab. You have no idea, dude. You're like running around the room. These things are fucking flying. They're jumping and flying across the room. You're chasing them down. You got hoppers everywhere. It's a shit show. If I get back into hoppers, I'm definitely gonna get one of those little things where you reach in and they can't get out, but you can grab them. That's a lifesaver.
And talking to Kai about, I mean, obviously Kai's got a ton of them, but he's like, oh, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm feeding. And I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm feeding. And I'm up every 3 hours, and I feed all this, and I feed. And
they do take a lot of a lot of work.
And the amount of greens and whatnot, just, I don't know. I know they're great feeders, but I just thinking, like, the amount of work in feeding them and keeping them warm and all of those things, it's like, I just take my money, Kai. I don't want to deal with it. Take my money.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy like smaller sized ones as feeders, and I'm pretty sure those are a lot cheaper than getting breeder groups where it's actually like worth buying. But they're a shit ton of work. I remember they eat a lot of greens. I think I was feeding mine like 3 times a day. Mainly, I was feeding mine 2 times a day, but if I was off and wasn't working and was home during the middle of the day, they'd get fed 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah, it's just a lot. And
yeah, but we have so much that eats greens, dude. It's insane. The amount of green we have 12 bearded dragons, 2 rhino iguanas, a pectinata, 4 monkey tail skinks, and 40 plus turtles. Like we go through, and the amount of greens we go through is unheard of. I think we're buying bags of greens probably every fucking day. It seems like more like every other day we have to go to Publix and buy a bag of greens. So I definitely want to work something out where we can get them in bulk because it's a pain. Emily gets huge, like 3-4 pound bags of arugula from work, but we don't like to keep feeding the same thing every feeding, so we only get that once every 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks.
Have you ever tried going to any of the farmers markets?
No, I've thought about it, and I've even thought about going to Publix and just asking if I can get their day olds.
So Publix won't do it unless you have a nonprofit set up.
Okay.
They won't do it. I've tried, like, especially with like expired meat and stuff,
mm-hmm.
the monitors and whatnot, and getting some chicken and things like that. Hey, if you're gonna throw it out, just let me have it. I'm gonna take it to my animal. No, you have to have a nonprofit. Well, I don't have a nonprofit. Well, we can't give you that. And it's I understand why they do it, because if, say, you went home and cooked the chicken and ate it and you got sick, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because then they're held liable because they gave it to you.
But you can do it from a like farmer's market?
You can usually talk to some of the farmers if they have like the stuff that they're not going to sell and it's wilted and things like that. Not that it's, I mean, just because it looks bad, some people won't buy it. So instead of them taking stuff home, hey, will you sell me all of your scraps that you have left over? I'll buy it all from you for price tag.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. I'm completely cool with that. Like, I understand the animals don't mind it being wilted and looking ugly, but Emily, my girlfriend, has to give them perfect food. If it is wilted or looking ugly, they can't eat it. She's so picky about that, so it's a pain. It's like, we gotta get fresh greens. Fresh
it doesn't even have to be wilted. It could just be stuff they don't want to take home from the farmer's market. Like, they sold everything else. It's not going to be good for next week's farmer's market, so
might as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. It's just like it's no different than going to a reptile show at the last 2 hours of the show and getting the best deals possible, because these guys don't want to take the stuff home.
Makes sense.
They don't want to take stuff home, so you go and, what kind of deal are you going to make me on these 10 snakes? You don't want to take them home. You want to make a profit, and you have to pay for this booth. You have these 10 snakes. What kind of deal do you do?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'll have to look into the local farmers markets and check it out.
I mean, because they'll potentially sell it to you for super cheap, but there's no telling.
There goes the lights.
Yeah, there goes my lights. Now I look completely different, and my forehead's not 10 times as big as it really is. Yeah, I mean, you got to find ways around spending a lot of money on food.
Definitely.
You know, I mean, especially when you have a lot of animals. That's why breeding your own stuff is a big deal. And I mean, I know guys that make they breed roaches and they make their own roach chow.
Yeah.
And they typically make their own roach chow out of chicken feed and various other things. They mix all together and they grind it all up and they feed to their roaches. I don't recommend feeding dog food, cat food, things of that nature, because it's just not good for them.
Yeah.
And it serves no purpose for your animal. So if you're breeding stuff, then, I mean,
gut loading is very important.
Yeah, like what's that guy? I think he lives out in Utah or something like that. I think he just stopped his YouTube channel. But he was the one that would like do. These are the we rated on the 5. Handleability, blah, blah, blah. I forget what his name is.
Oh, Clint's Reptiles?
Yeah, Clint's Reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. He was talking about how he eats an apple and then he looks at his apple core the wrong way because he's like, I could just feed this to my dubia roaches. And hell, might as well recycle this stuff if they're going to eat it.
It's like composting, pretty much, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, get rid of some of that stuff if they're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Like I tried, when I had my dubias, I tried the whole chop up an orange because they like oranges and it helps them breathe faster. And they didn't touch orange.
Well, you're only supposed to, I've heard, at least with the discoids here, so I don't know if it's different with dubias. Excuse me, but I've heard that the oranges and citrus does make them breed faster, but you're only supposed to give it to them once a month or once every couple weeks, and that if juveniles eat it, it can kill them.
Huh.
So and apparently usually juveniles will naturally stay away from it, but if it's the only thing they have to eat, they'll eat it and apparently it'll harm them or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but I've heard that, and I was always kind of worried feeding citrus to my discoids.
Well, and then you have to worry about the discoids, or not discoids, but citrus is not good for reptiles.
Yeah.
So if bugs are eating citrus, is that whatever is in citrus that makes reptiles?
Lee does with his dubia breeding. I know he feeds citrus to the adults to make sure that they to help them breed faster. But then the babies and then the adults he does sell, if they're eating citrus, he quarantines them per se, where basically they're in an area for a long amount of time not eating citrus to make sure it's completely out of their system before he sends you those roaches. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I feel like not a lot of breeders are doing something like that.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that any breeders should.
No, I think breeders are just sending them off, not giving a fuck.
Yeah. So, well, good on you, Lee.
Yeah, for real.
Yes.
Respect.
You better be listening because we're giving you all the shout-outs. But yeah, roaches were fun. Roaches are easy. Roaches are great. But you don't get the feeding responses from roaches that you do with grasshoppers.
Mm-hmm.
Grasshoppers give an insane feeding response. And you can pick up grasshoppers at reptile shows and stuff like that. There's a couple places that'll ship you grasshoppers. The only place I would buy my grasshoppers from shipped would be Kai.
Yeah, Kai and Dean are the only people I know legally doing it, because they have like permission from Department of Agriculture to ship to most of these states. Because a lot of grasshopper species can't be crossed state lines.
Yeah, because they'll turn into locusts, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then, watch, we end up with another Dust Bowl, and it's because of Kai and Dean.
Don't say that.
I mean, I'm obviously being very sarcastic.
So, what are you feeding your monitors? Like, your specific, like your sulfurs and the monitors that you own specifically?
Quail, chicken gizzards, tilapia, quail eggs. Like, we have quail eggs that don't hatch. We'll end up putting those. Dad, why do you have a plant? Give me that. Dog chews on it. I don't have live plants, but plastic. And I got a monstera monstera for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabbed it off, and then he grabbed it and ended up eating. And I was like, "You stupid dog!"
Oh damn, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to get it back to health. It's looking all right now. But I'm like, do I put it in with my geckos? Do I not put it in with my geckos?
I wouldn't. I'd wait. Monstera's super slow growing, at least at first. But with your monitor feeding, so do you, when you're feeding your tilapia, do you notice your monitors have runny shits? Because I've heard that tilapia gives monitors runny shits, and I experience it with my mangroves, actually. Whenever I feed them tilapia, their shits are super, super runny.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess that would explain why we had a big Asian water monitor that we ended up sending down to Florida, because he was a big male and he was cool. He was super chill. Like, I could go in there and pick him up and he'd have fun with me.
That's awesome.
And he was just sitting up at the top of the cage one day, and we're standing in there talking, and all of a sudden we just get pelted with shit, and it's like, what the, like, how did that even happen? And it just doused everything. But most of them, I mean, most of the big water monitors and stuff, they'll go in the water dish, so you can't tell if it's solid or running. But I mean, yeah, I guess it does give a little bit of runs and stuff. I would love to feed salmon.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. Let's be real. It's expensive.
I didn't even. Oh, sorry.
The tilapia we only feed probably once a month, just to give them some different kind of protein. We'll even get a big pork loin and chop that up into small chunks and feed those off.
Huh.
That's also really good for if you need to put panicure. You can put the panicure in the pork loin, and it swells up because it holds the juices really well.
Huh.
And it'll eat that, and you just kill any parasite that might have been in the pork. Yeah.
Yeah, I've wanted to do, since talking to Nick about the croc monitors, I've been really wanting to do carcass feeding with my mangroves. I got some large rats. And I know it's gonna be super messy and super stinky, but I feel like they would love the shit out of that enrichment. Have you ever considered anything like that, or do you do anything like that?
We've talked about it, but it's some will, some won't. Some don't want to waste their time when they can go, I'm not going to eat that. I'm just not going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do. What are you going to do? I mean, they're smart enough to know, well, I don't want to work for that. I'd rather you just give me a quail. I'll just take quail. You know? And it's like, I've never had a monitor that I've tried to carcass feed. I think it's cool. I do agree that the enrichment would be great. However, with having such a big facility back there with so many big monitors, it would knock you on your ass if you carcass fed every single one of them. Bugs would go insane. I mean, we have flies everywhere.
Yeah.
It would end up really, really bad in there. And I honestly don't think any of them would really do it.
I think my male mangrove would do it just for the simple fact that he is a psycho. Like, he was attacking the water hose while I was filling up his water today. Like, literally was biting the metal. Like, it was hanging onto it and pulling back and, like, attacking the water hose like a dog. And I was like, okay, this psycho might eat a dead rat.
I think our pair of normal lace might do it. They have an insane feeding response.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Spencer Eye, the big male Spencer Eye, might do it. The croc monitor, the big male croc monitor, who I have deemed Xerxes, because he's the god king of all the lizards back there. And I have, after talking with Nick, like, I'm going to go try to be friendly with you and just respect you and you respect me. And he's like, no, get away. Like,
He's not having that.
Feed me my food, give me my water. But it's like, he won't run away from me anymore. Like, as soon as I walk up, he'll sit there and he'll puff up a little bit. And I'm just like, what's up, dude? I'm just going to hang out here on the other side of your cage. Yeah. I do have food for you. So
slowly but surely.
Yeah. You're going to have to back up if you want your food. Because I do not want you launching out of here with me when I'm holding a large quail.
Yeah, that would not be good.
And I mean, that's primarily everything gets quail. Like, that's just what they get. Quail's good food. It's a whole
well, you breed them, right?
Yeah.
How many are you producing?
Well, not any right now. It's hot. We gotta rethink the whole thing. Our incubator's messing up, and to buy a new cabinet incubator, it's $1,000 for a cabinet incubator.
Damn.
Otherwise, you're buying one off the marketplace for $500, like we did this last one. And it could be good, it could be bad. You don't know until you plug it in, especially having it sit for a couple of days. So we did lose. I mean, I had a safety, like a backup thermostat on it, and it just would shut it off. And so the eggs wouldn't turn, and our hatch rates went to shit. You couldn't get the humidity right, so I had to take it apart this week and try to see what's going on with it, why it's probably clean it out too. It's probably got a lot of dander in the back and whatnot. And then the other thing is too with trying to breed birds is you can't just put them in the incubator and leave them. You kind of have to have an incubator and a hatcher so you can raise that humidity for the last couple of weeks, because I've had it and it's all new to me and I feel terrible because I didn't do my proper research, but they have that membrane on the inside of the egg.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too dry, that membrane will actually dry to the side of the animal when they're trying to hatch out.
Oh, shit.
And it'll actually suffocate it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So if you don't raise that humidity to like 60-65%, you'll kill everything. So ideally, you want to have an incubator that has a turner in it and a hatcher on the other side, so that way you keep ample humidity for incubation and hatching. But I mean, when we were doing it, we were getting about 50 eggs a week, and when they were producing really well, we were getting about 50 eggs a week, and about 30 to 35 were hatching every week.
And are you just feeding them off day old?
Sometimes, or we raise some out to increase our breeding stock, things of that nature. Just, I mean, trying to get your breeding stock. But we're gonna try a new thing. We have a pen outside that we're gonna end up redecorating, and trying to do the whole outdoor quail, hatch your own stuff. And then once they hatch, will eventually go collect all the little babies because the males will kill them off.
Yeah, I want to do quail and African soft fur mice.
No way.
Those are the only two big feeders I really want to do.
You know what's bad when Chris says, "I don't care what you do around here. The only thing you're not doing is breeding rodents."
Yeah, well, the reason why African soft fur is, one, because they're probably the healthiest and best rodent you can feed off. 2, they're small, they're not like rats. And 3, and probably the best thing, is they're the least fucking smelly of the rodents you can breed. So, as long as you keep it clean, and I'm going to be doing it on such a small scale where, like, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal, that would be the main goal. Just to have, little mice and pinkies I can feed off to my monitors and the snakes. But I just had a coworker come up to me yesterday and said, "Hey, I have a rat and a couple of rats we just got. We want to start breeding them, but we don't really know what we want to do with the babies. We just want to breed them just for breeding them. Like, would you be willing to take all the babies?" I was like, "Say less. I'll take any baby rodents you need, whatever species. Just, I'll take them."
You know, I guess I'm also scarred from rodents too, because we used to, at my first pet store I worked at, we would breed mice and rats, and
it's nasty.
It's the nastiest thing ever, because mice will chew on their water bottles, and then if you don't have an actual just a drip system, they'll chew the water bottles, and the water bottle will leak all in the tubs, and then they'll eat all the babies, and then the mom will die, babies will die, everybody dies. It's miserable, and it smells. Gross.
Dude, I have that smell ingrained for me in life. When you pull open that rack and there's a fucking mom with like 20 babies that she just eaten.
Or I had a Goliath-breeding tarantula that was probably about yay big.
That's awesome.
I mean, full grown, and awesome spider to have. Would never reach in there. The only way I'd reach in there and do anything is if I had a welding glove on, and even then I was kind of nervous. But I had a large rat one time. Because they said, "Oh yeah, just feed her a large rat." I mean, if it's that big, just feed her a large rat. Well, it ate the large rat, about half of it.
I know so that smell.
That was probably the worst smell, like even worse than snake regurg.
Yeah, I know exactly what that smells like because I did it. I did that purposefully. I didn't even consider carcass feeding. I probably should have, but I had when I had my male bluetail monitors, probably about a year and a half ago. I had some extra large rats, and I wanted to feed them some extra large rats, but I didn't think about carcass feeding, so I de-thawed these rats and just chopped them up, butchered them, just cut them in half with a knife and cut them 3 different pieces, like you would a pinfish when you're shark fishing, how you cut the tail, the midsection, and the head, just like that. And it was the worst smell, the nastiest smell on my hands. It was the nastiest. My hands were. It was so nasty. The bluetail loved it. He fucking loved it. He ate it all. But
yeah,
the kitchen, or not the kitchen, the bathroom that I did it in smelled like shit. So bad in my hands. I swear, no matter how much I scrubbed and tried to wash off my hands, it would not go away.
Nope. You can have your rodents. If I could get away with it with snakes, I would not feed any snakes rodents.
I mean, if you're consistently producing quail, just feed your snakes quail. They're fine with quail, depending on species.
When you got a Dumerals boa that's 8 foot long and about
adult quail, just do multiple feedings.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. I mean, you have to feed her probably 3.
Because you could just do one, just feed her one 2 or 3 times a week. More feedings that are smaller is better and healthier for snakes than one big feeding once a week, twice a week, or once every 2 weeks. It's just more natural for them.
But the other thing too is when they're eating small, like especially her, if she went and grabbed hold of a large quail, she wouldn't wrap it. And
She just eat it.
Well, she wouldn't know what to do with it. She'd just grab it and she'd try to wrap it, and then. And I've seen that with a few snakes. If they can't wrap it, they won't eat it. Unless it's a rat snake. Rat snakes will just grab something live and just eat it alive. Sure. But
I had a big old carpet python, diamond jungle. She was about 6 foot long, about that big. She could eat large rats, but I fed her like mediums. But I gave her a fucking pinky mouse one time. No one else would eat it. I just fucking threw my hand in there and she demolished it. Just ate it. Literally struck at it and it just went down her throat and she just looked at me for more.
Oh no, I had a big. My carpet python was about 8 foot long.
Mm-hmm.
I was told it was a Queensland carpet, but now I look up Queensland carpet pythons, can't find anything on it. I'm just like, well, I don't know. She's really pretty snake. She kind of had that nice jungle carpet pattern, but she definitely wasn't a jungle being 8 foot long.
Probably coastal or a coastal jungle hybrid.
Yeah. But I was like, well, she's big enough to eat a small rabbit. And you want to talk about something cool, watching a snake eat something that's a little too big for him? It took her a while to get it down, but she actually grabbed it by the head, killed it, because it was a live one. Because, yeah, I was stupid back in the day. But she would grab it, and she'd pull it, and squish it, and pull it, and squish it, until it got to the right size that she could eat.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so you can't tell me that a 20-foot berm can't eat a person.
I mean, retics do it about once a year. Have for the past 8-10 years. They've eaten an old lady or a kid.
Yeah, I mean, we're so easily crushable like that. I mean, just.
So, what do you all feed your crocodilians? Do you do quail?
They pretty much eat the exact same thing as the monitors.
So y'all don't do Missouri?
We've been talking about it.
I recommend it. I really do. Croc chow, I definitely recommend. I don't recommend solely doing croc chow because it's just not that nutritional. Your animals will get super fat and lazy if you do just croc chow, but definitely good choice.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely in the books. We're gonna try to do a big bulk order of Missouri, probably towards the end of the summer.
Shit, I might have to buy some off you.
But because we're gonna get that, some tortoise chow, some stuff for some mammals and stuff. So.
I want some of the turtle food.
Yeah, well, that might be something else we get is turtle food. But turtle food, some of the stuff for the big cats. The crocodilian food, the omnivore pellets, the big omnivore pellets. The sloths love those.
The biscuits.
Yeah, and probably some parrot food. And if I really wanted to, I'd probably throw some waterfowl food on there for the ducks and stuff.
The croc chow makes good turtle food for big turtles. So, like your big snapping turtle, the croc chow would be perfect for.
Yeah, he kind of eats whatever. We'll throw quail eggs into him.
They're dumpsters, man. They're literal dumpsters. They will eat anything that touches that water.
The ends of the squash, toss it in there. He eats it.
I have it somewhere saved on my phone, but there was some type of food that I tried to feed my snapper, and she hated. Like, she wanted nothing to do with it. She bit it and spit it out, and if she saw something that was even remotely the same color as it, she would just not go near it.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, talking about eating different things, and now we've gone into turtles a little bit. One of the things that I realized after we ended the episode last week is like frozen fish. Like the brine cubes, the mysis cubes, things like that. I know they break apart, but Do you think they would eat? I mean, would they eat that kind of stuff? Would it be worth feeding
For
each other?
I think for babies, yes, it's worth it. I think the frozen bloodworm packs, or my personal favorite is it's the beef heart mix. It's like beef heart, and I think it's got bloodworms as well, and a couple other things all in one cube. And I've always done that for growing out my Bishirs or my Bashirs or Polyleptris, whatever you want to fucking pronounce it as.
Yeah.
When I have a shit ton of those, I guess I still technically have them. They're just at my buddies, but that helps boost the Bashir growth a lot. And so I've always done that. I'd like to do that for my baby turtles. I honestly don't do it as much as I would like to. I've probably only done it a few times, but yeah, I think that'd be a great thing to do, especially for raising up babies and getting them to a good size. Adults, I don't think it's worth it. I think you just go through a whole pack just trying to feed like a couple turtles.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's absolutely worthwhile for feeding larger monitors and stuff like that. Is and I just thought about this because beef hearts, organ meat. So if you go and
What was
buy
that?
chicken gizzards, organ meat.
Okay.
Organ, yeah. So like beef liver, chicken gizzards, things like that. They go nuts for it because it's got all that rich irony flavor to it, and I mean,
yeah,
they eat the hell out of it.
My monitors, their favorite meal. I think we mentioned this before. Their favorite meal is scrambled eggs of all things.
Oh yeah, I mean eggs are great too. Eggs, hard-boiled eggs. You want to talk about something really cool? Is hard-boil some eggs and just put them in there.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Actually, I've done just straight raw eggs.
Everything.
I've done straight raw eggs, but I haven't done hard-boiled eggs. I need to try that though. I bet you they'd love it.
I wonder, do the monkey tails eat any protein stuff?
No, they do. They're strictly vegetarians.
Yeah. Another cool thing to watch eat a hard-boiled egg is a skunk.
Huh.
They'll
Really?
sit there and they'll grab it with their little paws, and they'll slam it on the ground, and then they'll grab it and then they'll eat a little bit of it. Or they'll do the same thing with a raw egg. They'll just suck out the
That's
egg.
awesome.
And yeah, they're coolest pet I've ever had. I had it when I was down in Florida, and she was awesome.
Yeah, my old boss had an albino, and it was so cool. I love that little thing.
Yeah, I had an apricot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Miss Daisy was awesome. She would eat Greek yogurt and fresh fruits and skunk food and hard-boiled eggs.
That's awesome.
Hard-boiled eggs were hilarious to watch her. She would just sit there and grab them and crack them and eat them. And she'd eat the whole thing. And, but yeah, hard-boiled eggs. And Chris's dad is actually feeding his lychees chopped up hard-boiled eggs.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're packing on some serious weight with it.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I kind of would like to do some research to see if the monkey tails could eat eggs. Because I feel like they would. I don't know. I feel like that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't. I
feel like everything eats protein a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Hell, even deers eat birds.
Yeah.
So let's go with that, or let's treat that as we can.
Now, we kind of talked about it a little bit last episode with the turtles, but are you feeding any live fish to your crocodilians?
We'll go and get a couple pounds of shiners from the bait shop.
Okay.
And throw them in there. Some do. Well, the Cayman went nuts over the shiners.
That's awesome.
The Morlets, the big Morlets was like, these are a little small for me, but I'll go after him anyway. And he ended up eventually eating all of them. The little Morlets, he went nuts over them. And then the Nile, forget about it. That thing
destroyed them.
Destroys everything. Everything. Like, same thing with the hose you were talking about. I was filling up the pot a little bit, and I'm like, and I wasn't even paying attention. I was just holding the hose over there, and then I feel like, boom, 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 and I'm like, what is going on? And he's grabbing the hose. I'm like,
what? I'm trying to, because I feed live fish to a few different things, but the biggest issue I'm having finding the proper size live fish for is the elephant trunk snake. I'm just having so much trouble trying to find some of the right size. Like, I want to do guppies, but they're so small. I just feel like they're not nutritionally worth it. And then I don't know if platies are worth it at that point either. Platies might be. What was that?
How big is it?
Oh, it's small. It's like maybe that big around. Like a little bit bigger than a pencil.
Like standard number 2 pencil?
Mm-hmm. I feed it, like, right now, I've gotten it to eat rosy minnows. It seems it will eat rosy minnows every once in a while. I've had it eat a couple little tiny tadpoles. I've thought about, you think ghost shrimp would be okay? I don't know.
I was going to say, I wonder if you'd go after ghost shrimp.
I don't know. I had to try it. I don't know.
Baby convict cichlids?
Oh, that'd be a good idea. I went to my local fish store the other day, and they have a bunch of convicts, like full-grown adults, and they're only like $5 each, and I'm tempted to just buy like all 10 or whatever they have of them. Probably not 10. I think they have like 5, but buy all of them and just throw them in like one of these little small turtle ponds that's empty, and just breed them up and feed them off.
Yeah, or at least for a time.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, I've always said convicts are great feeders. I've used it a couple times, but I've never actually like produced them myself for feeding purposes.
Well, I remember one of your aqua rep videos. You were cleaning out your ponds, and you put the convicts went into the one pond, and you're like, "Oh no, don't eat them! Oh, you're eating them! Oh my gosh, no!"
Yeah, I ended up getting them out only for them to fucking die in that pond. So I should have just left them. But yeah, that was a shit show.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about an elephant trunk snake. I thought he was bigger than what he is.
He might be a little bit bigger, but he's small.
Yeah. But he also looks like he's got plenty of room to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be able to eat something a little bigger than that. Try go buy some shiners from the.
You think so? Yeah, I'll have to try that.
I mean, between the turtle, they won't go to waste.
Yeah, that's
Turtles,
a good point.
Mangroves. You could throw in the mangrove pond.
Yeah.
When I had Niles, I would feed my Nile monitors fish all the time.
Oh, so I feed. Oh, dude, my mangroves are fucking spoiled. I'll tell you that much. They eat a bit of everything, especially live fish. They'll eat bluegill. I might have to edit this out. I'll have to look at the rules, but they'll eat bass. They'll eat shiners, pinfish. They've eaten. What else have they eaten? I've given them mullets, mud minnows. That's all live, and then like. Fresh dead, I've given them redfish, flounder, black drum, grouper. They're menaces.
Sardines.
Mm-hmm. I've given them sardines, actually.
Hell, I know. I think Wes told me, and he's going to correct me because I'm wrong. I think he said that if he has, he hog hunts up in the Panhandle. And he said that sometimes he'll get a big hog that just isn't any good to eat, and he'll chop it up and feed it to his water monitors.
That's so smart.
Yeah, it destroys the population of hogs and feeds your animals. Can't be much fresher than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely like that idea. Because I basically do the same with the fish. Everything I take home from fishing, I take home all my leftover bait. All the carcasses that are left over, I feed it to the monitors and everything, and the turtles and everything. They go crazy for it.
One thing that I've heard people doing is asking friends of theirs that are cleaning out the freezer for the following year's hunt, and they'll get all last year's deer meat.
That's smart.
Feed that all too.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, hey, you're cleaning this deer. What are you gonna do with the heart? What are you gonna do with the liver? What are you gonna do with all that stuff? It's all stuff that your animals can eat.
Yeah.
So why not feed it to them? I mean, there's so many ways around, and you just have to look outside the box. It's not necessarily something you're going to get at your pet store. It's not something necessarily that you're gonna that makes sense, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of stuff that these animals can eat. So I think a lot of people think that if it doesn't come from my pet store, then it's not safe to be eaten. And you gotta do research. I mean, look at what these things are eating in the wild. You'd be surprised.
Oh, I really would love to get some vegetation in the pond I have out back.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how deep it is, but I need to have vegetation in there to get the water stirred up and clear out the water a little bit. But I want to stock it with trout.
That'd be awesome.
Get trout and then start feeding the trout off to the animals.
That would be awesome. That'd be ideal.
Yeah, I think it would be a great idea. I mean, I almost thought about it yesterday. Emmett follows some guy on YouTube, and I don't think I've ever used Emmett's name on podcast before, but my son, he follows this guy on YouTube that lives down in Florida, and he puts fish traps out everywhere. So for his birthday, he wanted fish traps the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
So we put fish traps out there, and all we caught is a few shiners and some largemouth bass. Well, yesterday, one of the bass was dead in the trap.
Oh no!
So I was like, he was like, I'm going to throw it back, and I was like, wait, I can feed that to the turtles.
They'd love it, I bet.
They'd probably just start chomping down on it. There's your carcass feeding.
Mm-hmm. I guess I do carcass feed the turtles. I fed them lots of dead fish.
Yeah, and you want to talk about jumping into a hole when you don't know what you're looking at? I mean, I looked at 50, 60 different aquatic turtle foods, and I'm like, what do I get? What do I get? I'm tempted to just buy a thing of freeze-dried krill from the Asian market.
Yeah.
Or even just frozen krill that I can get.
Yeah, do that, and then just get the big old thing of Missouri turtle pellets, and that's all you need. Until I get my food, and I'll send you a bunch of free food.
Yeah, I mean, you can get that. I mean, I don't know what it costs anymore, but I used to buy the flat of krill that was like that big.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you can judge how big this is or anything like that, but it's about 12 inches long by 6 inches wide by about an inch thick. You just break pieces off, and I feed it to stingrays, feed it to sharks, feed it to...
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And you want to talk about fun, everybody talks about, oh, I hand-fed this, I hand-fed that. I'm like, I hand-fed a shark, okay? I don't want to hear it. I hand-fed a shark.
What are you doing, you bastard?
Hey, so it might be monitor-proof, but it doesn't appear as though it's monkey tail-proof.
Oh, that's only because I ripped it the other day. Well, I guess we have a monkey tail with us during this episode. But,
don't get bit like you did the other day on the finger.
What were we just talking about?
Krill. Sharks.
Oh, would you say a shark's the coolest thing you've hand-fed?
No. I mean, the sharks were pretty cool. Like a shark. Because I got to hand feed a wobbegong.
What? Where?
We had a wobbegong in the pet store.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was... I mean, he was probably about 2 feet long.
I am so jealous. That is badass.
I totally hand-fed a wobbegong. Hand-fed a wobbegong. I had that... the coolest thing still is that golden dog-faced puffer that we had.
Mm-hmm.
That I could scratch his belly, hand-feed him, and like...
That's awesome. Cool. What about the coolest reptile you've hand-fed?
Nile monitor.
Pretty dope. I'd say...
Yeah.
I think the coolest fish I've hand-fed. I mean, as basic as it sounds, I mean, it might not be that basic, but I mean, if you lived in Florida and never visited the Keys, it's basic as shit. But I mean, the tarpon are awesome down at Robbie's.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll give you that one.
But yeah, I think that'd be the coolest thing. I fed it's kind of an underrated animal. It's an amphibian, a two-toed amphima. I've hand-fed some of those and some pinkies, and they were monsters. It was kind of scary because they got some crazy teeth, and they got a pretty fast Ow, there's claws. A pretty fast reaction time.
Hand-fed my pixie tip or my pixie frog.
That's dope. I hand-fed my bluetail monitor.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
multiple times.
And then hand-fed the pufferfish. You want to talk about, actually, looking back at it, that's pretty sketchy because they could easily take the tip of your finger off. Easily.
Yeah, I remember I went over to feed Mitchell's when he had his orange Congo pufferfish. I went to go feed it, and he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "You can hand feed it if you want, but be extra careful and video it in case anything happens." And so I ended up hand feeding it, and nothing happened, but it was scary. Luckily it was a small one, so I wasn't worried about losing the tip of my finger. But yeah. I can definitely see how a big pufferfish will fuck you up.
Well, my Oaxaca, I was able to pet its belly once.
What? That's sweet.
Yeah. And he was aggressive on a different way. But
did you ever see him puff up?
He never once did his periodic puff when I had him. If I could get a 180-gallon tank, I'd get another one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It just sucks having a 180-gallon tank with one fish in it.
Yeah, that's the shitty part about pufferfish.
Well, it's not all puffer. It's I could get a 500-gallon tank with laboos and have all kinds of colorful little fish in there, and they won't mess with it.
I've wanted to do because I have that Afer knife fish. And I've been wanting. Eventually, I'll do it a huge display African predatory tank, and have the big knife fish. And I want to work out a way. Mabu would probably be what I do because it'd be the best. But I would love to work out a way to have a Oaxaca in there and have a bunch of big old African predator fish.
So the problem with a Mabu is anything that it deems small enough, it won't mess with. Anything that's close to its size, it will utterly destroy.
Well, what about if it's 3 times its size?
It will destroy it.
Interesting. Well, I might have to, I don't know. I'll have to look into it because I've been thinking about it. Because he's an asshole, so he'd fuck up the pufferfish right back.
Yeah, but that knife fish doesn't have the same jaws that that puffer does.
Yeah, one good bite from the puffer and the knife fish is done.
Yeah, and the same thing with the Oaxaca. I put a pleco in there. He's not gonna mess with a pleco. Bit right through a pleco.
Damn.
I'm like, okay, well, nothing's going in with you anymore.
That's crazy.
I put 400 snails in there. And I was like, deal with this. That was 2 weeks.
That's it?
I'm like, good God, man.
That's wild.
But it was cool to have a really nice planet. I had, what was it, the Pogostima stellatus octopus.
I love that plant.
It is an insane grower. Buy one,
so
buy one. And it covered the entire background of the tank he was in. So he would go dive down in the sand and fluff himself in the sand and stuff like that. But I don't know what he was with before, but he was actually missing his rear fin, the lower rear fin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you call that. The
pectoral?
No, it wasn't the pectoral because he had his side flippers. Or side fins. He didn't have that. Was it the dorsal's top and I don't know, whatever. The back bottom fin. You know they have the 3 fins in the back, the one on top, the one on the back, and the one on the far back.
Yeah, that one.
He was missing the bottom one in the back, and he still got around fine. He swam fine. It's great
So
fish.
with since we're on the topic of fish, what's your favorite food to feed like tropical fish? Like you have a tropical, just a simple tropical planted fish tank. What do you feed in your fish?
There's no such thing as a simple tropical fish because I would feed rainbow fish. That would be a tropical fish tank. Something different than I would feed Bolivian rams.
Like a planted tank with a school of tetras, a pair of gouramis, some Cory catfish, and coolie loaches.
Algae wafers for the coolie loaches. And Hikari gold.
Hikari gold?
Not Hikari gold. No, not Hikari gold at all. Bug bites.
Bug bites. Oh, I know a lot of people that do like Hikari gold. You know what makes really you know Hikari gold is one of the best isopod foods?
Oh yeah. Now they also make probably one of the best beta foods as well.
Really? You don't feed bug bites to your betas?
I don't have betas. But Hikari gold is actually one of the best.
I always just fed
around just. Well, I'm saying just for straight beta food, like labeled as beta food, Hikari gold is one of the best.
Huh? I didn't know that. Yeah, I fed, like you said, bug bites to all my fish, and then if I can find it extreme, is really nice as well. But I mainly like to feed bug bites and frozen bloodworms, beef heart, and brine shrimp.
All bug bites. All bug bites.
Do you do the pellets or the flakes?
Pellets. I don't do flakes. Pellets.
Really? See, I'm the opposite. I do flakes. I don't really do pellets often.
Slow sinking pellets.
Interesting. See, I'm the complete opposite. I do floating flakes. I rarely do sinking foods and rarely do pellets.
So here's the problem. If you set up your fish tank, a planted tank, right? You're gonna have your top water fish. Your fish that hang out at the top, right? Your nice clean top water fish. Then you have your mid-level fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your bottom dwellers. Well, what's the problem if you have floating food?
Well, you just feed more than you would normally feed. You feed a little bit, so then there's enough food that falls down.
Well, but what happens if they overeat? Right?
I've never ran into that issue. Usually, you just throw in a good amount of food, and half of it sinks and half of it gets eaten.
And then half of it goes into your substrate and spikes your nitrates.
Not when you have Cories and coolie
That's not true
loaches.
either. Because they will absolutely spike.
They'll eat it before it gets like rotten. When it gets to the bottom, like I've always said, like it gets to the bottom, and I have the fish eat it off the bottom for me. Because what's the difference between pellets being on the bottom versus flakes?
Because the fact that you're slow sinking pellets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have this thing that is slowly falling, right? So it looks like predatory fish. You know, when you're going fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that move, they're attracted to, right? So, one, the color of the flakes, right? Because flakes usually are different colors, various different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they have phosphates in them.
Oh, right? Your camera's out of focus.
You do.
Not me.
No, I'm talking about my camera. Whatever. I'll sit here if it's going to be a pain in the butt. So there's also a lot of phosphates in a lot of flake food.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't so bad for a planted tank, but most people that aren't using a planted tank, I avoid flake food at all costs. But when you have those slow sinking pellets, some will stay up at the top, some will start to go down, so then your midwater fish will get them. And once the midwater fish you don't get, then that's where you can have your celestial pearl danios and stuff, where they're slower and all that stuff, and they can see this little thing, they're like, oh, okay, I got food, right? And then you have your epistogramas that are down at the bottom, because they don't ever go anywhere but at the bottom, right?
Really? My epistos are all over the tank water levels.
My epistos would always stay right by their cave.
Really?
Always.
That's crazy. Yeah. Mine like go all over. The female will stay usually by her cave, but she comes as soon as I go feed. She goes immediately to the surface and starts eating.
90-gallon tank. 90-gallon tank with 3 epistos in it, and then there were some green, emerald green danios, corridoras, hillstream loaches.
Mm-hmm. I love hillstream loaches.
Yeah, I wanted to get a Queen Arabensis Leucostomus, but I was nixed at spending $150 on costumes. Yeah, the Epistos would stay at the bottom, always.
That's crazy.
They might have wandered a foot away from their cave.
Mm-hmm.
They were the cockatoides. Oh, really?
Oh gosh. I feel like we were just having this conversation in the group chat about people and their fucking smoke detectors.
To be fair, we've been recording for what, an hour?
Almost an hour and a half.
And it just went off. Okay, so it's not like I keep it the battery dead. That was funny. But yeah, sinking pellets are my favorite way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or slow sinking pellets.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, do you ever feed the frozen bloodworms and that kind of stuff?
So I always wish I could remember it. I can always find it. It was called the 50/50 Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And they also made it was frozen brine, mysis, and bloodworms.
Yeah.
And I forget the name brand of it, and it's gonna kill me until I figure it out and remember, and I never remember what it is. But it was one of the first ones that didn't have any binders or anything in it. So when you put it in the tank, it would. You put it in the tank, and as soon as it thawed out, it was going in pieces.
Well, yeah. So that was leading up to my next question. So do you just put it in as a whole cube, or do you thaw it out and then put it in?
Typically, I'll have like a little solo cup that I get a little tank water in,
Mm-hmm.
let it sit there. But this stuff, this food in particular, it thaws out within seconds. So as soon as the first fish hits it, you got to think your water temperature, depending on what you have. We'll say 78 degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna thaw that stuff out quick. So the first fish hits it, and it just puff.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. Whenever I did the bloodworms, I would leave them in the cubes, and they take a little while to fully dethaw sometimes. But like you said, after a couple of fish not chewing it, it does break apart a lot faster.
Yeah, but and you got to think with a lot of the stuff too that I had, I did a lot more salt water early on than I did fresh water. So having the anemones and all that stuff. So instead of having to get a turkey baster and feed an anemone, swirl it around in the cup, get all that stuff, probably 3 or 4 cubes in a 29-gallon tank every other day. And, the Arcai hawkfish would come out and do his thing. The coral beauties, flame angels would do their thing. Got another one coming out?
No, I just hear it's crawling, and I can't tell who it's from.
What else did I have in there? I had golden head sleeper gobies. Far superior than a diamond goby. I don't care what anybody says. Golden head sleepers are the best sand sifters there are. Sand sifting starfish. What is it? The blue Linkia star I had in there. But I had 5 or 6 anemones in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
LTAs, bubbles. Most of the LTAs, bubbles. I was going to get a carpet, but a carpet's got way too big for my tank, so I didn't even worry about getting a carpet. And then I have my corals in there. You want to talk about something really cool to watch eat?
Yeah, corals are awesome to watch.
Because the colors that you get out of the corals when they start to eat, it's just... and then with that, there's getting the live plankton. Like they used to sell it in the refrigerator. Like we had it in a refrigerator. That's what I would pretty much feed. I can't. It's been so long since I've had salt water, but that's what I used to feed them. Is the phytoplankton and zooplankton, different mixes.
Going back to the reptile side of stuff, what is the most difficult reptile you've had to feed? Whether it just wouldn't eat food or it had a really hard diet to maintain.
Ball python.
Just because it wouldn't eat food.
Because it wouldn't eat food.
Yeah,
ball python, notorious to be the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've never had one, but I've heard that the caiman lizards can be tough because of their diet, but you can slowly transition them over.
Mm-hmm.
At least wild caught ones. We're talking wild caught ones, not.
Yeah, no one's fucking captive breeding them.
No.
I know that's not technically true, fucking viewers. I know there's a few people out there. I know who they are, but overall, no one's captive breeding caiman lizards before y'all come at me.
And I mean, ball pythons. I mean,
yeah, they're a pain.
It's a pain in the butt to get to eat. I can't tell you how many ball pythons force feeding ball python. Won't eat. 4 months old. Won't eat. That's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sell this. It eats great. You just have to force it.
I've personally never had an experience with a bad eating ball python like that I've owned. Like I've dealt with them plenty of times at the store that I used to work at, but I remember one story specifically was this guy had a ball python and it would only eat like once every 8 to 9 months. Like no matter what he tried, this snake would only eat once every 8 to 9 months. Like he used to try and feed it every week, and eventually after a couple of years, he realized, yeah, this snake's only gonna fucking eat once every blue moon. So he'd come in, we'd see him like probably once a year. He's like, yep. We're like, oh, you're here to feed the snake? He's like, hopefully she'll eat this time, and usually she eats every once in a while.
Kind of like I had a 10-foot patternless albino green Burmese, and would eat jumbo rats. You gonna eat anything else? Nope, jumbo rat. And then it's like, went off food for 3 months. I ended up trading that snake for a car, and then I think it either attacked or it ate somebody's chihuahua.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Not my problem. I got rid of the snake. Sorry.
I'm trying to think of, because I know we've had some really fucking picky eaters at the store, and I can't think of it.
I had a chameleon that I had to literally, I couldn't just dump crickets in an enclosure. Mm-hmm. I had to hold crickets right in front of them.
That's a pain. I mean, yeah, I remember you mentioned that episode 1. That's a pain. I do that. Wow. You damn monkey tail.
No, that's another one.
It is another one. That's how we'll come back to this. It is another one. It's my mail. You damn bastards. Oh, I'm going to have to sew that hole up. That's a pain. But
already ripped a hole in the brand new?
No, technically this one isn't the brand new one, but yeah, there's like a little area that tore, and one of the brand new ones did also tear, so I'm getting sent replacements, luckily. But yeah, it's a fucking pain in the ass. But yeah, I've dealt with some picky eaters. I think the most difficult thing I had to eat personally kept was probably I had a certain tokay gecko that it was an Indonesian wild caught, and I think he was just riddled with parasites because it was a pain in the ass to get him to eat. A good friend of mine had a Thrassops occidentalis, or I think that's not the black tree snake, but the Jacksons, one of the tree snakes of Africa, the rear fang venomous, can do some pretty bad damage to you if they were to bite you. And those things were a pain in the ass to get to feed. They were eating only alive anoles. It's the only thing we could get them to feed. And then finally, after months and months and months and months of trying, we got them to eat frozen anoles. And then I think that was it. I don't think we ever got him to. I think maybe he got him to eat quail once, or maybe rodents, but I think it was only anoles.
It's like what are they, the African house snakes?
Yeah, those are bitches too.
And viper boas can be real bad too. Wild caught viper boas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had one at the store, and he was iffy. Some days he'd be fine, and other days, like some weeks we go and feed him, and he instant. Other times that wanted nothing to do with it.
So now, worst eater, we've got a few worst eaters. Best eating reptile you've ever had.
I want to say the Dennis, the mangrove right behind me.
Yeah.
But I did have a diamond jungle carpet python, the one we talked about earlier, and she was a beast. Like, she was a beast. You opened the cage and she was on point, ready to fuck anything up.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
What about you?
So many monitors. Best feeding response by far
Mm-hmm.
is it's the lace monitors we have out there. The insane feeding response to the point where we had to move them out of the cage they were in because they would jump out at you. And a 3-foot lace monitor jumping out at you is scary.
Yeah, they can do some damage too.
Yeah. Chris has a scar to prove it. But so many cool things. Well, I guess it's not a reptile, it's an amphibian, but pixie frog.
Yeah, pixie frogs are awesome to eat. Or not to eat, the watch eat.
Oh yeah, just sit there, bleh. Like, hey Pac-Man, what's going on? So yeah, he was by far the coolest.
Yeah, I like I said, that Amphima I fed was really, really cool. That wasn't my personal animal.
But best animal I ever had that had the best feeding response, the octopus.
Oh, that's probably cool to watch.
I mean, feeding a crayfish and then throwing a crayfish in one of the little plastic containers with lids, putting that down in there and sinking it with a rock, and watching the octopus go and open up the container and grab it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Had a friend that had a mantis shrimp. That had a pretty impressive.
You know, there's someone selling one for really cheap close by, like a whole setup and everything, and I would love a mantis shrimp. I don't think I have space for it, but one day in my life I will have a mantis shrimp.
Do not try and see what it feels like to get punched by a mantis shrimp.
No, that scares me. I don't want to try that.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it last episode. I like to feel what this feels like to get bit.
Yeah.
Don't get punched by a mantis shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody listening, don't get punched by a mantis
What
shrimp.
about out of all your crocodilians? Would you say the Nile has the craziest feeding response, or what about like the salty or the caiman?
The caiman's feeding response is terrible for quail. Best feeding response in the world for fish.
Mm-hmm.
The big male morlets, he's got a great feeding response. But he's also trained,
Mm-hmm.
to come to food. Got food for you. But yeah, the Nile's probably like leaps and bounds.
That's awesome. I can't wait to come see them.
Like, so awesome. And like we were talking, what was it, in the episode 7 about what's my favorite monitor, and I'm like a Nile monitor.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you right now, dealing between the two of them at the size that they are, I do not want in any way, shape, or form to ever mess with that Nile.
Yeah, Niles are crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all got to get your hands on some Cubans.
No. I'm not getting chased across the yard by a crowd. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
But I don't know. With that, is there anything else that we wanted to cover diet-wise? I know we kind of ended up scrambling all over the place, but I think the best episodes are where we kind of just bullshit.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. We still kept to feeding. And it's just what's got the best feeding response. Crocodiles have the best feeding response. Yeah, it's time to go because I got to change that damn battery out.
That's funny.
Yeah, now at least I have a whole bunch of extra batteries in my drawer.
That's nice. At least you don't have monkey tails falling from the sky. I guess that's a blessing.
They're worse things.
Yeah.
You could have projectile food for feeding your monitors.
Tilapia.
Yeah. So, but all right, guys. Well, I guess that's a wrap for episode 9. Hopefully, we can get somebody special on for episode 10. Kind of a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a big deal. 10 weeks in a row is crazy. Thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for supporting us. Like, we've been getting some crazy support. to thank everyone that watches and shares and likes and comments and all that. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if there's something you want us to talk about or something that we need to correct on the next episode, let us know.
Yeah, just tell us down in the comments. We're not going to be offended or anything like that. Hopefully, like Chad said, we can bring on a good guest for episode 10. So fingers crossed we get someone good. If not, you guys will just have to deal with me and Chad, which is hopefully okay with you all.
Hopefully. I mean, it's lasted at least this long.
Yeah, so
maybe,
far.
Yeah, so, all right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yep. See you guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right.